Speaking of mission, I want to give you a For the One update. If you're new to our church, back in September, we kicked off a 2-year initiative called For the One. That name actually comes from a piece of the Bible out of the book of Luke, chapter 15. Jesus gives some parables to describe the heartbeat of God and what God's character is like. And one of the parables Jesus shares in that chapter is one of a shepherd who has 100 sheep. And the Bible tells us that that shepherd leaves the 99 to go pursue the one sheep that's far away. And that really is a showing of what God's heart is for people that are far from him. He cares and loves them. And so the shepherd leaves the 99 to go after the one that's far away. And so for us, we have a couple of opportunities, both here and at the church at Hebron, our second location, to develop some things on our property so that we can continue to reach our ones. And so in this, it's not that we're just building buildings for building's sake. They're not of much value. But when buildings are used as tools to reach people, they're really valuable, particularly on the mission that God's given us. And so at this property, you'll see some pictures on the screen here. Our phase 1 looks like a double gym and some student worship space, all right? And so on this 2-year initiative, based upon pledges our church family made and some other financial data, we expect to take in $14 million. Now that $14 million doesn't get us all the way to completion, but it gets us pretty far down the path. And one of the things we've committed to is that we will pause if and when we need to so that we can lead this in a fiscally responsible way, and we're committed to that. The second thing, as I want to tell you, is that we're 21% of the way through the journey, and we're 21% of the way through in our giving, which is excellent. And so at this point, we've given $2.96+ million, and we're very well on our way. Yes, that's awesome. Now, behind the numbers are a few things. One is, for those of you who made a pledge, 55% of you are also 21% or further along in your commitment. But then there's this other section, these people that are a part of our church family, but they didn't make a pledge. And you guys are outperforming the projection for your generosity. And I just want to say kudos to that. That's amazing. Since September, we've also picked up 131 new giving units, which tells us there's 131 new households who weren't previously participating financially, but who are now investing in what God's doing here. And that's incredible. Now, all those numbers, I know we can get lost in the numbers and what all that means, but here's the thing. Those numbers actually tell us a few things. One, it tells us that this church believes in the mission. When I say the mission, I'm not talking about one that we've conjured up. I'm talking about the mission that God gave us right from the Bible, that we should make disciples of all nations and we should go after people far from God because it matches the character of God. It also tells me that people are stepping up. And it also tells me that God's stirring something deep within our church so that we'll live out the mission that God's given us. Because here's the thing, we're building spaces so that the next student that walks in and goes, I am broken. Or the next marriage that walks in and goes, we're on our last thread. Or the next child that walks in and says, I'm looking for some hope. You know what we're going to say to them? You're home. We have a place for you. You're here. Welcome. Because one of the things I love about this church is that we are full on being a blessing to our community. And that's why we build buildings, because it's an ends towards people. Now, here's a couple of things in that. I just want to say to you, if you've not made a pledge, if you consider Florence Baptist your church home and you're part of the family, but you haven't made a pledge, would you just make it known? So on the back wall and tables, there's little pledge cards and there's giving stations attached to the wall. If you would just fill that out. Here's why that's important. It actually helps us make the best, clearest, and wisest decisions we can, because it lets us know the intentions of where you're trying to go. I want to be clear about this because I know there's some trepidation. Like, I don't want to fill out the card because then it's going to be, we're not like the IRS, okay? We're not going to knock on your door and demand things. It just lets us know that we can plan accordingly and gives us some good, clear guardrails in that. The other piece is if you are a pledger, like I said, 55% of you, you're right on track or a little ahead. But that means there's 45% of us that made a pledge and we're not quite there yet. I just want to encourage you, just keep going, okay? Just keep going and make a moving forward in that. And then ultimately what I want to say is thank you. Thank you because of your faithfulness. I mean, you've been tracking since September. I also want to say thanks for your sacrifice, because this isn't easy. It's causing us to kind of, make some hard decisions along the way and really truly sacrifice. But then here's what I ultimately want to thank you for, is thank you for being a church that doesn't believe we exist for ourselves, but that we're a church that believes we exist for the one, because that actually matches the heartbeat of God. So let's keep going.